damn, dude, if you fall off for a little bit, it is so hard to get back on the horse sometimes.
Well, it's a mental game.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a mental game. That's what really keeps you pushing.
No, I know, dude, but oh my God.
One thing that's super funny too is because when I go away a lot, like
Mm.
I'll come back and Brandon, not that we forget each other exists. Obviously,
Right.
this is my home.
You
Mhm.
forget?
But yeah. Bye. I'm just kidding. But when you come back together, you have to reassociate life together. Like,
Yes, yeah.
like because you've built not a comfortability, but a like survival method to
Right.
be without your person,
Yeah.
but still being with your person
We've
to then
just
come
done-
back
we've-
together.
We've done that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, where it's like you leave and it's like, okay, well, you do your thing, I'm doing my thing, and then
Mhm.
before we know it, you're back. We're like, hello.
Hello.
Well, dude, it's also like there's such an interesting dynamic too because this last project, I had to be in a relationship with this actress in the project we were doing. So like we had to build this relationship over a week. So it's like, oh hey, what are you doing? Oh, well, I'm technically on a dinner date right now, or I'm technically like we're
Yeah,
hanging in the
that's
park
different.
right now and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's like that's also its whole thing, and to be able to also understand with my girlfriend, if she, she's a beautiful young girl. She's gonna have plenty of projects where she's playing the love interest, she's playing the main girl, and they're gonna pair her with other people. And you have to understand, like they could
I
be
have
in
a
this
question.
other
Have
place.
you
Yeah,
guys- has that ever been a conversation?
it's definitely an easier thing to get through when you're dating someone else
That's
in the
also doing
that's
it.
also in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
industry. I don't like. I completely understand when people are like, "Oh, I couldn't date actors," or "I
That's
couldn't."
me.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah.
like no, like I totally get it. That's not
Too
an easy
selfish
thing.
with my
Well,
person.
I think of like the Glenn
Yeah.
Powell, Sydney Sweeney thing when the Anyone But You press was going around.
Yeah.
Basically, all these tabloids and stuff were going, their chemistry is too good. It's too good. There must be something behind the scenes, right? And, it came out now that the movie was it was pretty successful. It came out now that, Glenn was talking about, well, Sydney's such a businesswoman. She was smart. She would lean into it, right? And her fiance was cool with it and stuff. So they would lean into it.
They just committed.
They just committed
Yeah.
and leaned into
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe there is like don't ask, don't tell sort of thing. And if you have the heart to do that, I for one, I very much think you should set boundaries, not like limit what your spouse can do or whatever. That's one thing. I mean, that becomes crazy. But I guess I just mean if you're in the industry, you have to understand that your spouse is going to be in situations where they have to be intimate with other people. And like we've discussed before, it is a very sterile process, and your job as actors is to bring some sort of levity to it and this sort of connection that plays like chemistry, but also keeps both of you from being like, there's not really anything here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, because it's true. You go from making out to cut, and then you're just like, yeah, so tell me, what was your dog doing again? Oh, well, my dog, he had to take him to the vet.
It's like it
Okay,
never
and
happened.
action,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
making
yeah.
out again.
Right,
It's like,
right.
it's very... But also to form that level of being comfortable with someone, especially someone you've never met before. Because it can, if you're lucky enough, you have an actress or you have an actor in general that wants to collaborate and be like, hey, let's get to know each other a little bit before we have to do this. Or you have people who are like, look, I don't want to. I don't really want, let's just do it. You know what I mean? And that can happen as well. Like there's this amazing, there's so many amazing films where chemistry is chemistry, right? Whether it's chemistry through hate or chemistry through love, like chemistry is chemistry.
right.
There's I think it was Nick Nolte. He's an older actor, and I can't remember who the female actress was. Don't quote me here. It's not Julia Roberts. It's someone, Nick Nolte and this actress in this movie had insane chemistry. Like the chemistry was so hot, but it turned out they despised each other. Like despised
off-screen,
each
yeah.
other off screen. So they were basically joking the chemistry was such passion, but it was a passion of hate.
So
and
funny.
so just to give you an idea of how it can be sterile but
Right,
passionate
right.
in different ways.
Well, here's the thing. You
yeah.
can have chemistry with anyone. That's
Totally.
just a fact. Like, I honestly
Totally.
don't believe... I believe that there are people who could be partnered together and they're healthy, and people
Yeah.
that can be partnered together and it's unhealthy, or like the way that the boundaries are.
Totally.
They
But
just
you
know how
could
to
have-
make it look like it's working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you could, like, even just in life, like, you don't have to be an actor or an actress or
Yeah.
anything. You could have chemistry with anyone. So I think
Yeah.
that boundaries in general, if you are a person,
Yeah.
are important.
Yeah, and look, some people. I've grown up in this industry. I've seen a lot of stuff, maybe more than I should have seen. But some people have open relationships in this industry,
Oh,
and
tons of people.
very much so. It's like when you're with that other person, do whatever's needed for the art. I'm very much like, haha, no way.
Me too.
yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, very much so. No.
No,
but,
thank you.
But like, I mean, some people are super open and cool about it, and they're like, yeah, you go do your thing, I'll do my thing. I was like, oh, okay, we'll see. Yeah, it's definitely not for me. But yeah, I mean, I like, there's actually this funny story. My girlfriend has a friend who was dating this actor, and then he had a scene where he's like, hey babe, I have to make out with someone. She like broke up with him that day, and she's like, I can't. She's like, you're gonna come home, I'm gonna think about you making out with the actress the whole time. It's gonna be bad for me, it's gonna be bad for you. I can't do it. I just can't do it. So I mean, I totally get it. It's a very strange,
when you know
strange
it's not
thing.
going to work from the beginning, it's probably
Oh, it's
good.
better.
It's good to handle it at that step.
Yeah.
Then let it
100%.
I
100%.
feel like that's actually more responsible than if like he didn't talk about it and then it
Absolutely.
happened and then it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
well, we
yeah.
didn't even discuss this and like
Absolutely.
if anything, she was caring about him.
Well, I mean, that's
Well,
such
both,
a thing.
well,
in-
they both were.
And her,
Yeah.
he's
They
caring
both
about
were,
her
yeah.
too. Yeah.
And that's such a thing in general, right? Like there's truthfully, there's so many situations. The only reason situations get really hard is because you weren't basically trusting your gut in the beginning most of the time. Like I get like working through things. I do understand in relationship you have to work through things, but there's sometimes where it's like you could have just been honest with yourself like 6 months ago. This, like this
we
just
could have solved a
this
whole-
just got bad because you didn't speak up. Like, let's be honest.
yeah.
You know what I mean? If their breast stunk then, it stinks now. It's sort of like,
It's like, it's not gonna change.
yeah, it's not gonna change. Let's be straight. Yeah,
Majority of
mean-
things actually get more in depth than they were when you first started.
totally.
So like it's actually so much beneficial to just say, hey, by the way, these are the things I'm working on. These are the things I'm healing through. These are
Yeah.
the things that I will act upon. These are the things that I won't. I want to let you know this is where I'm at. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be here, but this is where we are.
But there's just so many arguments and fights and things that happen. For example,
so
like
many, babe.
do
there's
tell,
like-
do tell, do
there-
tell.
No, what I was saying is like, because I was thinking about what you were saying. Like, there's multiple times we'll be in like a debate, and then one of us will be like, "Wait, why are we even fighting again?"
Oh yeah,
Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's
like,
fun. That's
you
a fun one.
forget
always
the
fun.
reason why you even start the
Yeah.
conversation or
Yeah.
the argument or something, and that also goes to show like how many fights, like what you were saying, could be
Right.
avoided by people if you just probably said the right thing,
Yeah.
explained yourself, or just maybe not said something
Right.
in a way that might have been taken the wrong way.
Right. Well, my
You know?
girlfriend and I, we have a system where if we feel like we're getting too heated,
Do you take
We-
a minute?
we take a minute, we go quiet, but we have to inform each other that hey, we're gonna be quiet for a second.
Yeah, you don't just walk away.
We don't. No.
No,
But
because
it's
we've
like,
tried to go quiet without talking about it. It
Yeah,
doesn't work.
no. You have to be like, okay, hold on.
It's a,
I'm
you
gonna
okay?
be quiet for like the next few minutes
Yeah.
because I need to structure how I'm going to say this.
No, it's
Because
important.
if I
Yeah.
don't say it right, I'm gonna have a dinner with my shoes. Like I'm gonna literally just,
or
it's-
just not even eat dinner.
Yeah, I'm like, it was a terrible way of saying foot in my mouth, but yeah, or
Yeah.
but like, yeah, and that's definitely helped a lot.
Yeah.
Also, my thing is like sometimes I'll go longer than that because I'm really like I don't know the right way
Yeah.
to put this,
Yeah.
and sometimes it'll go longer. But yeah, man, I mean,
I forgot who it was. It's probably for the best. But
Oh.
there was a time someone
he's
told
like,
us.
definitely wasn't
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't worry, baby. It's not on you at all. Forgot who it was. It was just us two. It's crazy how you could just forget. Yeah.
No,
I think what
but-
he's saying
no,
is a
but-
wise thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this time
hey.
I was wrong, not you, babe. No, I can't even. Matter of fact, can't even think of a time you were wrong. Yeah.
No.
He said something.
Sorry.
It was actually someone else. I just didn't want to say names, so I was like, it's probably for the best that I forgot who it was.
Okay. Cool.
But I was gonna say, taking time at the end of the day isn't the worst thing as long as you communicate.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking the time. I had someone say like, "Oh yeah, we argued and we honestly took the entire day before we
Right.
communicated."
Right.
But the thing is, at least we solve it, right? It's
Mhm.
different if you take a minute, you come back, and then you keep moving with your day like if it never happened.
Don't leave
You're
it.
that's gonna erupt at some point.
100%. Yeah.
So you got to try to solve the problem in your head, but it's not a bad thing if it takes 5 minutes, maybe an hour, whatever
Yeah.
it is. You're not.
It's like if your dog crapped in the house and you left it. You know, because
Well,
it's seriously no,
forever,
seriously
it is.
no, because it's like
No, but on your bed. It's
no,
like,
sure,
it's, yeah.
but I'm
or
just
like
saying
your
it's
food.
it's like if your dog crapped in the house and you both just went like, we're gonna leave it for now, and then you guys stepped around it, and one day you're not paying attention, you step right in it. You're even more pissed because it's like you could have just picked
Moldy.
it up. It was terrible. It's in your shoes. It's in between your toes. You could have just picked it up, but no, now it's all over you. You know, I'm assuming you
Disgusting.
fell. That's what I'm assuming. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know. You got to work through. You got to obviously work through things.
Patience.
And then there's also again, you're so valid in what you're saying. Where sometimes it is good to take a minute and be like, what is the point of
Yeah,
what we're arguing about here? Because sometimes you both get
Core
lost.
root.
The core root
Yes,
of like
not
what's
just what's happening right now.
yeah. But it's because you can easily get lost because then I mean I don't know if you guys of course you guys do it. You're human. I do it. Our brain is programmed to justify what we said, even if we
Yeah.
don't really know
Yeah.
why we said it.
Yeah.
Like we do that all the time. It's like if you ever responded to something and it's almost like you didn't think about the response, your mouth was already like, here you go. Like here, not even bad. Just like
spit it out.
Yeah.
here's like just responding.
Yeah.
And then later he's like, oh, know what I was talking about. Like
I have no
like,
idea.
yeah, I kind of don't know what I said. That's your brain. It just we have like confirmation bias, and we will rationalize a lot of things we say,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's also
yeah.
why and I'm not gonna get too far into it, but that's also why, like on political spectrums, why there becomes these blowouts too. It's just because it's like we're rationalizing that the point's so far away, and then you're gonna feel humility if you accept like, oh, I got too far away from what I was talking about. I actually don't know what I'm saying now.
Mhm.
People don't want to die on that hill. People don't want to be humiliated or look like they lost the point. And it's that you have to kind of practice that humility in arguments to
Yeah.
actually get anywhere, because then it just becomes an ego thing. We're like, well, even though I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I'm gonna keep arguing this because then I'm gonna look real stupid if I like admit that I don't know what I'm talking about.
I had to ask myself this question this weekend. I was like, am
Yeah.
I trying to feed my ego or my identity?
Right.
Because like by having people like approve of specific things that I'm going through,
Mhm.
like am I just like trying to like suffocate myself because I don't understand anything that's going on?
Mhm.
Or am I truly willing to like lay it down?
Right. Yeah.
Because that's a big question. And most
Yeah.
of the time I don't want to lay it down. Why would you want to lay down something that's really painful?
Yeah.
You know? But at the same time, if I don't lay it down, then I'm holding it.
Lay it down, baby.
Lay it down.
Lay it down.
Nah. So that was a good thing for me yesterday. I had a good deep cry about it all and
Oh, dude.
went through emotions.
Speaking of deep cries,
Me too.
I just watched this show called Day One on Netflix. I binged it.
Day
and-
One,
Day
okay.
One. It's based off a book.
What about day 3?
So good. Well, okay, so the story is actually really interesting. It basically follows this guy and girl, and it's basically the day they meet, and then that day is a certain holiday in the UK. I can't remember the name of the day. And every episode is that same day, a year later, over
Okay.
20 years.
Oh,
And you
okay,
follow these
okay.
two people and their friendship into a relationship, into a everything. And
Interesting.
it just has one of those endings where I'm just like, why can't they just be happy? Like, why does it always have to end like with some shit happening? Dude, I'm sitting there like my girl has this like jumping trampoline in her house for like working out, and I'm sitting there like to fight my tears, like jumping on it, just
Oh
like
my
watching the last
gosh.
episode, just like, why is it like this? Like, why can't it be happy?
Why
like,
are they happy?
like, I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but I just like she just hears me. I was in the living room and I go, no, why? And she's like, what? Are you on the phone? And I'm like, no, the show. Like, why is it doing this? Dude, I don't know what happened. Like, I swear these last, oh my God, like I'm 27 in like 22 days now or something like that.
So close.
That's wild.
I know. And
27's a good day.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for it. I've just become so emotional these last few months. I'm like so like everything's making me cry and tear up, and I'm so here for it because I've been wanting that part of me for so long. But like, oh my God, like this kid, like because I was in New York last week. I'm in the park and this kid's just playing with his balloon, and I'm like, like started to tear up because this kid's playing with his balloon. Like, why am I sad? But I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've just been such an emotional little boy lately. Oh my
An
God.
emotional
Like,
little
I
girl,
know
so
to get
don't
you
worry
for your
about
yeah,
it.
man. It's like, it's funny how it sneaks up on you. It's like, it feels like it's been so locked away and pressed up, and now it just comes out at the weirdest times. I don't know what it is, dude.
I don't know why you just made me think about. You ever seen Inside Out?
Yeah, of course, the like #1 selling Pixar movie. I think I've
Is it
seen
number one?
No, it's up there. It's
It is.
very successful.
Well, number 2 is coming out,
Yeah.
and it's the suppressed emotions. Remember in the trailer,
Yes,
in the little
yes,
jar?
yes,
Is that what
yes,
you're
yes,
trying to
yes.
tell us?
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
stole it from
Yeah,
you.
it's a, no,
I didn't
you're
mean
good. You're
to.
good. You're good.
Yeah,
They got anxiety coming in on that one.
dude. Wait, okay. Hands down, what is the most slept on children's movie?
The
Like,
most slept on?
okay.
Yeah, like what would you say is like the underrated like children's movie that deserves more credit that you grew up on?
That we grew up on, or newest
Movie
generation?
or show? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just like, what's a movie that you just feel like everyone's like, why does everyone not under, like, for example, like I know mine from the jump. There's two. There's a tie for 2.
Do
Okay.
tell us.
Okay, Iron Giant.
Oh, I love that movie.
I feel like doesn't get
Wow,
the doesn't
that's a
get
name
the
I haven't heard in a
dude,
long
I feel like it
time.
does not get the mainstream love that it deserves. Like, I'm so surprised there wasn't like
True.
amusement rides and toys.
because I
and,
watched
like,
that over
sequels.
like
Oh, that's right,
600,000 times.
Oh, so much
Good
time.
movie.
And then Treasure Planet.
Oh, it's also a great one.
Treasure Planet,
Yeah,
bro.
that was a
Oh
great
my
one.
gosh.
That movie was
still
like
watch that movie.
the soundtrack, dude, and then just oh my gosh, it
what's-
was so good. Okay.
Speaking of
Those are
this,
good
before
ones,
we get
Jake.
into those questions,
Mhm.
after our last episode, I showed her like clips of the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Bro.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I honestly didn't understand a thing about it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, well, that's a
Because it
bummer.
was showing the highlight clips, and
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah. Do you just have?
yeah, the whole
She
time.
hasn't experienced that one.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
wait. So what?
But
was
we
your
did get
guys'-
into like Bernstein Bears.
Oh
Franklin.
yeah, dude.
That's a good show.
Bro,
okay?
oh, dude, those are good shows, and sometimes those parents would lay it down for those kids.
But
man.
in a
There's-
healthy way. Like I was watching that, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is why I'm such a good person. 'Cause
Yeah.
my parents showed me these TV
yeah,
shows.
yeah. It's surprising.
Well, I mean, I'm not a good person, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you
This
know,
is
like,
why I'm
you're lifting it
perfect,
up.
is
This
'cause
is
of
why
this
I'm
show.
so
It's,
amazing.
No, it's like no man, I know that's like I think of all those shows we grew up on. I think that's why half of us are so weird is because so much of us grew up on like SpongeBob and Rocket Power and all those like those shows raised us,
What
man.
Well,
was
you got
the other one?
SpongeBob.
Phineas?
You got
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
the fairy godparents.
Fairly
Fairly
Odd
Odd
Parents,
Odd
You
Odd
got
Parents, yeah.
Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy
I
Neutron.
That was a
loved
classic.
Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah,
good
yeah.
one.
Jimmy Neutron. You had then you.
I liked Roly Poly Oly.
Oh my gosh.
Roly Poly Oly.
I don't remember
Fall
that
into
one.
and round.
Whoa,
I
Roly
believe
Poly
it.
Oly. That is
That
a
one.
throwback, dude.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Blues Clues.
Growing
Blues
up,
Clues always.
You had Did you ever watch Dragon Tales?
Bro.
I wasn't allowed.
Of course.
So
You weren't allowed to watch Dragon Tales?
no, I wasn't.
What'd your
Dragon
parents think it
Tales.
was? Like a drug show or something?
No, it just had spells in it. So my parents, when I was a kid,
Because
because you
We're
have
talking
to
about
think,
rubbing
this
the
is an
crystal,
interesting,
going
this is
into
an
the
interesting
dragon
topic.
world, bro.
Yeah,
We're going
yeah,
into the
yeah.
dragon world.
Interesting.
But
So-
anything that had spells in it,
Uh-huh.
which I'm thankful for because you don't know what spells are actually true.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know, as a child, you consume a lot of things in your being.
Uh-huh.
So I'm thankful that I didn't. Because as an adult, you can like
You
discern.
can be like,
and
obviously, a
vision-
stone's not going to take me to a dragon enchanted world.
Yeah,
right,
you know.
right.
But
Yeah.
as a kid,
that
you
was
could, you
one-
know, have some things.
That's fair.
That
Hey,
was-
look,
yeah,
that's
no,
fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, half of the shows you watch now, and you're just like, they don't really make that so much
Yeah,
sense.
Well, dude, I
better
mean,
be
of
on
course,
something to
like,
watch
yeah.
this. This
You
is
also have
crazy.
Clifford.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
yes.
Clifford.
Clifford
I
was
didn't
a
watch the live
classic.
action, though.
I just
Yeah.
was always like wondering, like as I got older, especially owning a dog, like what did they do with his crap? Like how did like that? Because my
That is a
dog goes
great
like multiple
question.
times a day.
Oh my God! Hold on. Oh my God!
Like-
I don't know why this was a thing.
Okay.
she can confirm this.
Uh-huh.
We went to Mexico recently,
Uh-huh.
and we're walking.
Which part? Which part?
Ensenada. It was
Okay,
off a
okay,
cruise, and we're
okay.
walking like their main street where I guess all the souvenirs are, all the
Yeah, yeah,
stores,
yeah, yeah.
and every souvenir for some reason just has like a box of like fake crap,
Okay.
like to buy as a souvenir. Like,
Word.
and I'm like,
Specifically there, like
yeah, no,
I
just
don't know. It
every
was
store,
just
just
on
like
every
a
store.
box of just like fake crap.
okay.
And they
I
were
kinda wanna
selling
know
it
the
for like
significance.
Yeah.
$3.
I
Okay.
never looked it up or asked.
And I was
It feels like a steal
well, it's
for a
because
box
it
of
was-
fake crap,
yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
I was like, well, never in my life.
It was an
come
interesting
across-
thing
It's
to
It's like, what'd
come
you fly there
across.
for? I just really was looking for a box of crap.
And
they
some of
just-
these people were really like hard on trying to sell it. And I'm
Yeah,
just
well,
like,
yeah, man. They're like, we need to get rid of this inventory.
Well, that or they just gotta fix something.
No,
like,
they heard a fad coming through. They're like, yeah, the tourists really love box of crap. And they're like, everyone buy some, get some, let's do this. And they're like, we got to get rid of this shit.
We should look it up though. I want to know kind of why.
Oh, God.
That'd
But
be interesting.
Who knows?
But to go back, to go back to that conversation, I'm surprised they just now started diving into the Nintendo universe,
Right.
and making like Nintendo World at the theme parks, and
Yeah.
going into their universe, stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
You
Wait,
heard
so
already?
what are
No, it
what are
hurts.
your movies
Oh,
or
yeah.
slept on? Like, what do you think people don't like? Because obviously, Toy Story's up there and all these big ones. What is something you remember watching
I
as a
loved
kid?
Land Before Time
Land Before Time.
Time was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I feel like that's a little slept on for sure.
a little bit because they
Land
have
Before
like
Time,
a little bit
that-
of stuff.
Dude, when his mom dies, woo boy, that messed me up, bro.
My
that,
heart.
That wrecked
That's
me.
like one of those feelings when you felt watching Lion King for the first time.
Ah, bro.
And seeing the betrayal with Mufasa.
I actually didn't care that much. I don't know. There was
Really?
there was something
Cold-hearted,
about
Jake.
it. Well, there was something
Cold-hearted.
about it. Like I just didn't care. It didn't get me like Bambi got me. You know what I
Bambi
mean?
was wild.
I don't know anything about Bambi.
Bro, you don't know about Bambi?
I know what
Bambi
Bambi
is a
is.
wild
Bambi
film.
is
Stop.
like the sole proprietor of most children's trauma during that time.
Yes.
Dude,
Really?
his mom
Very
gets popped
interesting.
like very very early on.
Well, it's the first 3 minutes.
Why
Yeah.
am I laughing the way you delivered
Bro,
that, bro?
she gets capped quick, dude. like, I'm serious, bro.
No way.
Yeah.
Hold on. Was it you? Was it you like back in the day? What
What?
was that old YouTube video of the deers? That
Oh.
they're making fun of. There's narrators between
Oh.
deers fighting.
Oh, dude, it might have been me, man.
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God. Okay, wait.
I
do you
don't know.
what
I
video I'm
was
talking
deep into
about?
like the YouTube bullshit when I was younger.
I have to show you guys this at the
Oh
end of the
my God.
podcast. I'm sorry if I find the name, guys. I'll put it in the comments of this episode. You guys can find it. It's probably one of the funniest
Dude.
narrating videos I've seen.
Dude, I like, oh my God. I was really into when I was younger. What did I watch that was like when YouTube? Oh, Smiling Friends on YouTube. No, not Smiling Friends. Happy Tree Friends.
Happy
Tree Friends. That
Oh
was
my
wild
God.
time on YouTube,
I would
bro.
never watch that.
Yeah, probably for the best. I definitely don't think your parents wanted you watching
No,
that. Like,
I
dude,
tried showing it to you one time when we
Happy
first
Tree
met.
Friends
That's
is.
probably why I
Hey.
blanked it
Oh,
out.
dude.
The military one
Whoa,
was
bro!
crazy.
When he goes into like the little diner and he's like messing people up in that diner, bro. Oh my God!
It's a cartoon that was put
Oh,
on YouTube,
dude. Oof.
and it was like R-rated for like
yeah, man.
characters killing each
I don't know.
other.
Yeah, I don't know who was making that, but it was.
Wow.
It's basically how I passed time in STEM class. I would just like be watching all of those videos. Same
But,
with
but the name is like the name fooled so many people because
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
not Happy Tree Friends.
Do you guys remember like those websites where you could go to and they had all those Adobe Flash games? You could go to like something
Yeah.
called like miniclip.com and it was like all these different
Oh,
games you could play.
yeah.
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 They had one where you could play as like George Bush saving the Queen of England and
I
you're like
never- I never
shooting
saw that one.
terrorists.
You know
I
what?
never played that
Do
one.
you remember the there was an alien invasion one? Where
Yes.
you had to like break down.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you were
yeah,
the
yeah.
aliens.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
were the aliens,
You know what
dude.
game I could never get into? Sims.
Oh, really?
I don't know why it frustrated me the whole time.
Because life was difficult enough. And
I
you're
was
like,
like,
why
why do I
wanna
want to? Then they would do the most random
Honestly,
things.
Well, that's Sims. Yeah, they're simulated.
I never
I was like,
What?
what?
I never got into Sims. That was kind of like the same era as RuneScape.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Oh, bro.
And my
I
brothers
was
were
very
always on
tied
RuneScape.
into that game.
Dude.
Like I would leave school and just make
like-
sure I got a library card just
Yeah.
to block in
Play it.
hours just to
I
go
like
there.
Club Penguin.
Yeah, well, we talked about
Yeah,
this,
we
right?
talked
Didn't
about
Chrissy
it.
like?
I never
Yeah.
got into that one though.
Yeah, yeah,
Never got
man.
into that
I
one.
spent. I remember Club Penguin was like the first time I spent money on a game, like for Puffles, like the
Oh,
little pets.
yeah.
You could buy.
They were so
I just-
cute.
Yeah, yeah. You
I don't
could
know, I
buy
feel
like.
Yeah, that too. But I think I'm trying to think like top games of that era. Like RuneScape was probably before Minecraft.
Yeah, yeah.
RuneScape was
RuneScape
before
was
Minecraft.
100% before Minecraft.
And I feel like nowadays it's like obviously like Fortnite is big, but I think the general aspect of video game fan base over the years has been I mean like really Call of Duty started the multiplayer.
Dude,
The multiplayer first shooter games.
there will be nothing like nothing will reach that peak of when you were a kid, like when you first could play Xbox Online and you played games with your
Yeah.
buddies. Like
Yeah.
nothing. I think about those times so much, man. Like waiting in the lobby and just talking to your buddies and stuff. I mean, these days, like the pandemic kind of gave us that a little bit. Like I don't
Right,
know, that was
right.
probably the most I'd like
I
played
think- I-
online
I
with like
thi-
my
I think
buddies and
so,
stuff.
too.
But dude, that raised me. Like I remember that I had so many friends I'd never talked to unless I was talking to them online,
Yeah.
dude. It was like what a crazy, crazy time, man. I miss that so much. I don't know. I miss like a lot of that stuff, man. Adulting is
It's kind of weird to
speaking-
think about like we are adults though. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
sometimes sit here and I'm
definitely.
like, wow, like this is my life. I'm married.
yeah.
What's up?
I have a
Yeah, but
husband.
it's also I
Yeah,
think
you
it
do.
I think it's funny how it doesn't feel like when I was looking at it as I was younger, I looked at marriage and oh, you're getting a job and living in an apartment and do all that. I looked at all that as just like, oh man, that is just like some old stuff like that. Like you must have to have it all figured out to do all that
Oh, it's
stuff.
so
and then you
I
realize
thought
it's
it was
just
for-
like
it was like it was gonna be a long time to even got there.
yeah, and then it's like no, that's just and then you're just
Yeah.
doing it. Like I remember I'd be like, how are you 30 already? Like what do you mean? Like what are you doing at 30? And they're like, well, I'm still living my life. I'm like, but you're 30. Are you sure you should just be living your life? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I
No,
mean?
it's
You'd question it.
true.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
no, wait,
Yeah.
but you should have all this, right? Like all this should be
this should
done
be
or whatever.
already good.
right? Because it just felt like such a gap, and then you realize, oh my god, no, that's when there's really when so many people's lives are starting. Like
yes,
I think
beginning. My life feels started right
yeah,
now.
like I think about that all the time. Like, I used to get all the time like you're very old for your age and stuff like that, and I used to pride myself on that so much. And now that I'm looking back, I'm like, dude, I don't like. I there's some things I'm very thankful for, but
Yeah.
like there's a lot of things like I started when I was 14. Look, started when I was 10. I started officially working and having a job at 14
Yeah.
through the show, and then I never stopped working since. And I'm so unbelievably thankful for that freedom and that type of work. But it's also like looking back at it, I didn't realize when I had some castmates and people tell me like, hold on to your childhood. I didn't realize what they
Yeah.
were saying. And now I look back, I'm like, shit. Like, yeah, I totally.
Every single person says enjoy the kid phase.
I
Enjoy
do.
growing up.
Yeah.
But do you guys remember being a
Enjoy-
teenager and you're like, oh, I can't wait till I'm an adult.
100%.
And then like,
Yeah.
especially as a girl, like you're like always like, oh, I'm gonna like,
I've heard.
I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine once I'm like this age. And you're
Yeah.
like waiting for that moment to happen because everyone tells you
Totally.
your life is gonna be good at that time.
Kids,
Yeah.
teenagers try their hardest to feel and be older, and then once
Right.
you're older, you're like
Trying your
you're-
hardest to get
be
back.
young.
Yeah.
It's funny.
yeah,
but-
man.
You know, it's a good thing to talk about. I don't think we've never said this. Is
Uh-huh.
how we all got to LA.
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
We've
true.
never said how we all got to LA.
Oh my lord.
One day at a time.
Yeah,
Well-
we'll start with you because you said you started at 10.
So yeah, so my whole process. Oh my god. Okay, so when I was like 7 or 8, my mom's best friend, and she had a daughter that was like my age, and she was basically like, "There's this talent search thing in Orlando, Florida," and she's
God.
like, what comes with
Yeah.
it? It's a week long.
Yeah.
But the most important is if you submit and they choose you and you buy the tickets and buy the package, it comes with Universal, your pick, Disney World or Universal Studios. We had just like I'd really want to go to Universal because of Marvel, because remember
Yeah,
they had
yeah,
like the Marvel
yeah.
section before Disney did.
Right.
And so I was like, oh yeah, let's do that. And I was really thinking, she's like, I was kind of at the time doing some theater, but it was like I grew up in a really small town, so the theater, I'm sure anyone from small towns knows this. Like they don't actually audition fairly. It's like if your mom runs it, you're getting the lines. If you're like I didn't really care that much either. Not about like not care about theater. But I'm just saying like it's like if I had a few lines, whatever. But so we go and do the trip. We take the trip, we get there. The first few days is the theme park, and then the rest is kind of business. And so I go into this room of suits and stuff. It's like these, these I'm wearing that little almost like American Idol where you have the paper pinned to you and you're like number
Yeah.
4,232 or something. And I walk in and I'm supposed to sing I think like Sarah McLachlan. No, I was doing a song that's like Monday morning, gonna wake up, fill my coffee cup, I'm out the door. Like some sort of Southern song. I don't know. And I get in there and I've never been around this many people in suits. And like to me, they seem so important, but realistically, they're probably just a bunch of like agent assistants that were just there to like scout these kids and stuff like that. And but to me, they're like top echelon. I was like, whoa, who are these people? And I get in there, I can't sing. Like I can't even open my, like I just can't sing, and I freeze. Walk out, and I look at my mom, and I'm like, well, it's like we can go to the pool, like you know what I mean? It's like it's over now, and they come back out, and they're like, hey, wait. They're like, okay, so he got a little nervous, but how about have him take this thing? It's called a monologue, and with the monologue, you can learn it and like give him about 10, 15 minutes, have him come back in, and maybe just have him do the monologue. We're like, okay, you know what I mean? And so I went over with my mom, I did it, and then I went back in there, and the monologue, for some reason, that came super easy. I was like, oh, okay, it was something about like, when I brush my teeth with so-and-so, I have a great time, or something like that, and there's like, oh, there's like, yay, and anyways, so, so I end up going to the next round, and unfortunately, my mom's best friend, her daughter doesn't make it to the next round. So it's like this sort of like, oh crap, what do we do? Because like now they're still hanging out, but we can't go hang out because now once you're in it, it's like you're in it. Like that's kind of, my mom and I kind of went in not thinking anything was gonna happen.
Right.
And then long story short, I made it to the very end. Out of like however many kids there were, made it to the very end, and I guess it was pretty cool. And then met like one of the managers, and the manager was like, "Hey, so come to LA." This was a few months before summer, so like, come to LA, and we'll have a meeting and all this stuff, and we'll tell you what the next moves are. And we're like, "Oh, all right."
So did you end up working with that manager,
dude? So fly to LA, me, my dad, and my mom. Fly to LA just for like a week, just to meet her and just kind of see what this is even gonna be like. We did not financially, have the means to really be doing this. And so we get out there and we meet with this manager, and she's just the worst. She's just like, she's like, yeah, so it'll be 30% up front and you're gonna have to pay me monthly. And we're just like, what?
Monthly?
It's like, this doesn't sound right. And so luckily my mom's sister had a brother that was in the industry, and so she's like, hey, does this sound right? And he's like, run, that chick is trying to screw you over, da da da. So we got out of there with her, and I think as I tell it, and I think this is correct to my mom, but I'd have to double check. We're basically just like, all right, well, let's go tour LA. This was, let's make the best out of it. Da da da. And then we're at like City Walk or the Grove or something like that, and this lady walks up, and she's like, "Is your son an actor?" And we're like, "Well, it's funny you should say that. We're actually, we were here for this, but we got screwed over." And she's like, "Oh my God, no, please let me like send him out. Like, I won't ask for anything for these first few projects. Let me send him out." Da, da, da. So she, we're like, well, okay, we're here for a few more days. What could worse that happened? And then so she sent me out on a few commercials. I ended up getting one of them like immediately. And then it just was kind of like from there, ended up being like. What a divine
moment.
It was pretty wild, I must say. It was definitely divine. It was pretty loco. And that's kind of always been this industry for me, is every time I'm kind of like, this is time to hang it up. It's like the next big thing comes through, or the next it's like Glenn Powell was in an interview recently, and he's like, the minute you're not available is when it all starts coming. Is the minute you're kind of like checking out mentally, or you're starting to be like, well, I'm going to do this other thing, is the minute they're like, wait.
You decide to either you're thinking about walking away, or
you're
thinking about traveling.
Yeah, maybe not even quitting, right? Just like
something.
Be like, I'm going to shift gears. It's like, that's when they're like, wait, hold on now we really want you, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's remind you why you should be here.
Yeah, and then ever since then, man, and then there was the and then after that came out here, had some wins, had some L's, nothing that really justified the funding of being out here yet, and then went back for freshman year, and then went back home. We had a death in the family. Needed a reboot. Went back home for freshman year, and then right then when I was like, maybe I'll just do high school and finish it out, whatever. Into that year, I booked the series, and then it was like, well, now
There
this
you
is
go.
like, and that was like big boy
Yeah.
money, big boy job. That was like, oh God, all right, well, back in we go.
Are you talking? You're not talking about Rectify.
No, I am.
You are
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
Rectify.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, man. And so it's just every time I'm like, it just somehow
Yeah.
pulls me back in, and again, incredibly thankful. I
Yeah.
know how lucky. I mean, I work pretty freaking hard, but I still know how.
Of
I would
course.
never deny this. It's some luck is involved.
It just
you
feels
know?
like it's in alignment.
Yeah,
That's a
totally.
really beautiful thing to know. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, definitely. Well, okay, so
That's
I
good.
kind of know.
Congratulations.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes, that's
I'm glad
huge.
you're here.
I kind of. We might as well go around.
No, Kirsten's next.
Yeah, Kirst. I want to.
Oh man. Okay. Well,
Because Canada, all that. So that's
Canada,
a whole, yeah,
a
that's
whole
a different,
different
yeah,
country.
yeah.
I'm gonna. I'm not very good at telling stories.
From the
so I'm
beginning.
my parents put headphones on the belly when I was in there, and so I pretty much came out singing at like 18 months, and so my.
Oh, so you kind of always knew those.
I've always
Yeah,
been
music's been-
singing. Like I
yeah.
think I
Got
sang
it.
my first. I was singing full sentences and talking at like less
All right.
than one. So
Right.
that was just my life.
Mhm.
So I started to do like commercial stuff when I was 3. And then I did like performances when I was 5 in front of 5,000 people. First song written at 6 and like did a whole thing in Canada. And
Was
then
all this in Canada?
all in Canada.
Okay.
And so I did everything I knew how to do in Canada with my parents. And they were like, well, let's see if you actually have talent. And so I was like, okay.
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
And so I was 14 and we had someone invite us down to LA. And my parents packed up all my family and we drove down and we went to Disneyland. And
Oh, see, isn't it funny? How it's
Yeah.
always like kind of a
Always
theme park.
like a
It's like
theme
half
park.
the tease. It's
Yeah,
always
so
it's always like
funny.
it's like the justification
Yeah,
of
it's
us.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
let's do this.
yeah, yeah.
And it was just so honestly another divine moment. It was like I was there to either I could meet this really incredible producer or a pastor. And at that time, my parents, you know, we were just a small family, well, big family,
Yeah.
coming down to a place we had no idea what to do. And we chose to meet the pastor. And we were having ice cream with him. And all of a sudden, he's like, no one had heard me sing at this point.
Mhm.
He's like, oh, I have someone I want you to meet. And at this, and I was like, and they're actually across the street. And it ended up being this insanely amazing producer who like has written like tons of Rihanna and Chris Brown and tons of different people.
Yeah.
And he was like, yes, come in. At this time, he didn't even know how my singing was at all. He's
Mhm.
like, come in. He pushed back the Backstreet Boys for a week. I did like a ton of songs and
Oh,
just
awesome.
like felt like what it was like to be in a studio. And
It's kind of the green light already.
green light, like,
Right.
oh, I can
Totally.
do this.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, at that time, I was young. I was 14. It was our first moment. My parents were nervous of things, and like, we had to go obviously back home, and it just became this. At that time, none of my siblings did entertainment at all. They actually did not want anything to do with LA, which is
I
wild.
can understand.
Yeah. And so it became this journey of we just come back and forth constantly. And
Mhm.
then we were like, well, this is serious and we actually want to make this official. So we started doing all the correct paperwork and all the good stuff and then got to start making money out here, which
Yeah.
was beautiful. And the whole family started coming out and
Yeah.
we each just started tapping in. So that's a short version of my story.
Still, it's the same with
That's
that
it,
divine.
you
It's
know?
like
Huge, though.
it's like you couldn't have dodged it if you tried, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
it was gonna find
It's
you
been
Things
funny.
were-
some way.
And we
things were
didn't
in
really,
motion,
yeah.
yeah.
And we didn't really have anything to come down. Like that's the thing. It's
Same,
like,
yeah.
but again, I'm saying like that's your faith. Like,
Yeah,
what would like my parents again, like your parents love you, so they were like,
yeah.
I want to push this where it goes. Let's see
Yeah.
where it goes, you
Right.
know. And in that willingness, something divine can happen, and
Mhm.
that was my
No, and
moment.
Yeah.
I guess that's also what I mean. Like luck aside from the industry, the luck of having parents that are like, we're gonna give you this chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even that in general, because there's so many parents,
Well,
and not even to blame. There's so many parents that are like, no.
Like, why would we do that?
Like, if you want to go do that Hollywood stuff, you can when you're out of this household. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I 100% understand it. I
Completely.
completely understand
Yeah.
it. You know, because
Yep.
it's not without its sacrifices.
Yeah.
So
All right, baby, your divine moment.
come on, baby.
Well, it's funny too. It's similar to your story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it started really like, so I remember I was in 8th grade, and then I started ninth grade. And when you really start ninth grade, it's like your first level into high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
freshman
you
year.
start hearing,
Not in Canada.
you start, yeah,
Sorry.
you start hearing people start talking about, like, what they want to do for careers. You start having teachers, you start receiving letters of college applications, and
Mm-hmm.
it really starts hitting then. And then I just knew at ninth grade, I was like, I didn't want to do anything that
Yeah.
related to college or
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Everyone seemed pretty like solidified on their ideas.
Right. Like they had been thinking about it for
Yeah,
a while.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, I really
Totally.
never thought about this. And then at the same time, I was having like I was in a weird space. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I didn't want any job that I was being offered. At the
Right.
time, I was like, I got to figure this out. And then as time went on, things got a little bit weirder, and I was okay. I really got to figure this out. So I was in a little dark mental space. I'd never thought about acting before, or California. I never thought about anything outside of Miami, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was really funny. I'll never forget. I was literally in the drive-through of KFC. I was in the drive-through of KFC
Where magic happens.
with my grandmother,
Oh, yeah.
and I had only
Love you, Grandma.
I had I was like flooded. We were talking about the shows with Disney Channel and Nickelodeon.
Mhm.
So in my head, those are the channels. Those are like the key words I knew of. So then we're in this drive-through. We're ordering the KFC, and all I hear on the radio is, "Do you want to be on Disney Channel?"
Oh, they got
That
you.
was the first sentence I heard.
Yeah, they got you.
Do you want to be on Disney Channel? I didn't even
Yeah.
know what acting was, but I knew what Disney Channel
Hey,
was.
you in the KFC line.
You know what I mean? I knew what Disney Channel was. So I was like, wait, I know what that is. And I turned up the volume, and they're like, oh yeah, if you've been dreaming about being on this show or this, that, call us now to audition in Miami. And they gave the number. I remember I got like the first, like, I got half of the number.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh my God, please repeat the number. And then they ended up repeating it. I got the number. I had my grandmother literally pull out of the drive-thru and park.
Mm.
And I called this number, and they're like, oh yeah, you want to audition? I was like, yeah. I want to, where is it? And they said where. And then I can see from the distance that like my grandmother kind of signaled like it's really far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you going to get there? But I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, just book me in. Yeah,
Wow.
just book me in. Just book it in.
That's so typical of how you are as a person,
Yeah.
too. Like, of
Yeah,
course,
it's-
you're the one that like called, and you're like, no, I'm going. Like,
Yeah,
I'm doing
I'll
this.
figure it out when
That
it
is
comes.
so
I'll figure
you
it
in a
out.
nutshell.
I was like-
But it
I was-
works
It,
for
no,
him.
it does.
It's
It
the
just
most beautiful
it
thing.
just shows your drive, but that is
Yeah.
just so you. Like,
Yeah.
of course, you would be
Yeah.
like, no, book me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So we did it. I remember going to my family and just kind of talking about it. When the day finally came, I don't think I mentioned it until like the day before either,
Mhm.
which I still deal with that a little bit now. I
Yeah.
always figure it out, but I
Yeah.
tend to be very last minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So like everyone was like, well, we're all working. Like, what are we gonna, like, how are we gonna get you there? I mean, you got to think Uber wasn't a thing.
Right. Right.
None of these things were a thing.
Right.
And I think my grandmother really, since I was bummed out, long story short, she was able to call off work. She took me there because most of my family thought it was a scam.
Right.
because
Right.
For the right reasons. For
Well,
the right
ours
reasons,
was a scam.
a lot of those
technically.
things are scams.
Yeah.
at the end
Almost.
Of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it was so funny because when we got there, my grandmother knew it was real the moment I knew it was real because
Yeah.
she watched the Disney Channel with me.
Yeah.
So we just saw Mr. Mosby from Sweet
Yeah,
Life come
yeah.
out. He was the one auditioning us.
Oh wow.
And then like Esteban and all these other people from Sweet Life come out and audition us.
Wait, is that how you know him?
Yeah. Yeah.
No way.
Well, he's the reason why I came to LA.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Full circle.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah, we're there, and it's so funny because on preparation day they said bring a monologue, and I was so uneducated that
Like,
I looked up on the internet what's a monologue. I didn't know what a monologue was.
You
So-
come in with like Shakespeare.
So
It's like, I'm ready.
Out there, Romeo.
Yeah.
I forgot what monologue I got, to be honest, but I printed one random out from the internet and
Uh-huh.
I took it in, and Phil Lewis is his name.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Mosby.
yeah.
He's in the room and he's asking me when it's my turn to go in. He goes, "Have you ever acted before? You have any experience?" No. They're like, you ever thought about acting before? I was like, no. And I was just honest because I was a kid at the same time too. So
You
it's
weren't trying to
like,
blow smoke.
I was just
yeah.
I was just answering the questions.
Yeah,
you
this
know
has
what I
been
mean?
my dream forever.
I was
Yeah.
like, I just heard the audition. I want to be on TV. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
Hey man, that's all
it.
you need, baby.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
long story short, I did the audition. He happened to mark me like great on all the slots, the things, and they had me come back with my grandmother. And it was similar to where it's like, skip a big part of the story. They ended up saying yes to me, taking me to LA.
Yeah.
But then it was a big fee that we did not have. And my grandmother went back and forth with them, and I don't know what she did.
Grandma got on 'em.
Salespersons and everybody.
Yeah.
But they ended up coming back, and thankfully, they ended up giving us a free pass.
Oh wow.
They
yeah.
basically covered it for us.
Wow.
We flew out to LA, theme park,
Abuelita
Universal.
went in on the.
Park.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all-
We
that's
went to
all the
Universal.
theme
Yeah.
park.
It's like the timeshare thing. It's like they buy you dinner and they're like, now you got to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But we went to Universal, but I remember walking out
People
of,
right now looking at their like programs are like, we're going to a theme park right now. Like, what is this? Yeah.
I remember walking out of we'll skip more so it's not so long.
Yeah.
I show up to LA on this next one. It's gearing up for pilot season, the first pilot season, and I walk out of LAX. I will never forget. It's 1 a.m. I'm very tired, but all I see is the colorful pillars, which is why LAX is so like big. And I look over to my grandmother and I was like, I'm gonna live here.
Yeah.
And she goes, soon in your life? Yeah, you may come out here and live here. And I was like, it's gonna be real soon.
Yeah.
And
wow.
long story short, skip 3 months over. We're in Oakwood. Pilot season's over. You know, I had an opportunity with a good friend and mentor of mine, Adrian.
Yeah.
And he basically told me that I shouldn't go back to Miami after month 3. And I was like, well, that sounds like a great idea. But I was like, we gotta talk to my family about that.
oh
Long
my
story
God.
short, I literally never went back.
Yeah.
I just stayed here. I never went back. You know,
Dude.
we had to talk to my school, withdraw me, everything like that. And beautiful story, but that's how I ended
Dude,
up
I
here.
love that so much. I love all those. See, busy babies, if that's not just a
In a
great
nutshell.
way of telling you guys to follow it. Follow your dreams.
No, honestly.
Chase
I'm
your
serious.
dreams.
I know I sound more facetious than I'm
No,
actually
but
joking. I'm
it's
being
such-
completely serious.
it's
Like,
so beautiful.
I'm
we had
being
no idea we
I'm
were
being
gonna be here.
dead serious.
And
yeah.
in the unknown, like all
Yeah.
of us had no resources.
No.
Okay, we
No,
had no
definitely not.
connections,
Yeah.
no idea what it even was, a
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
space, and yet you still were like, "Let's do this."
You
So,
just gotta be willing.
You gotta
to take that leap,
you
willing to leap.
gotta go for it. Dude, that warms my heart. That better warm your guys' heart too, damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
we
Yes,
love
yes.
you, Biz
But that's
Yeah.
a great note to end this episode on.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we love you guys. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any comments.
yeah.
And then, you guys have anything to add?
By the time this is out, the EP will be out. So go stream the
Yes.
EP, babies. Yeah.
and go
that's-
stream my new songs too.
Oh, see, there we go.
Bro,
Okay.
we're partying on this episode.
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty
I
spectacular.
love y'all.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.